Imagine this, you're sitting at your kitchen table, sipping your morning coffee or grabbing a quick snack, thinking everything is normal. You've got work to do, errands to run, maybe even a family to take care of. But what if I told you that hidden in some of the foods you eat every single day is an ingredient so dangerous that it silently attacks your brain, speeds up memory loss, and increases your risk of dementia without you even realizing it? You'd probably sit up a little straighter and pay attention, right? This is not some exaggeration or clickbait. This is science-backed reality, confirmed by top neurologists who have spent decades studying the effects of diet on cognitive health. They've seen firsthand how certain ingredients, when consumed over time, can slowly destroy the brain's delicate neurons, leading to confusion, memory lapses, and eventually serious cognitive diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. And the worst part is most people consume this ingredient daily without even knowing it. People often assume that as long as they avoid obvious junk foods or limit sugar, their brain is safe, but the reality is that some of the most harmful substances hide in plain sight, sneaking into processed foods, snacks, sauces, and even items marketed as healthy, and the damage they cause is cumulative and subtle at first, so it often goes unnoticed until it's too late, slowly inflaming neurons, reducing blood flow, and creating toxic plaques that interfere with brain signaling. And when that happens over months and years, cognitive decline is not just a possibility, it becomes almost inevitable. Imagine your brain as a highly complex city, with roads connecting neurons instead of streets, signals moving like traffic, and neurotransmitters like traffic lights guiding every thought and memory. And now imagine what happens when some of those roads are blocked, traffic lights malfunction, and accidents keep piling up. That's basically what occurs inside the brain when this ingredient is consumed regularly. And yet most people don't see it coming because the early signs are often mistaken for normal aging, tiredness, or stress. Even people who exercise regularly, eat a balanced diet, and drink plenty of water are not immune, because this is not about lifestyle or willpower. It's about understanding what's in your food and how it interacts with the brain's delicate chemistry. The effects often start subtly with small memory lapses, mental fog, or misplacing things more frequently. And most people dismiss these signs, but in reality, this is the brain signaling that something is wrong, and that hidden ingredient could be the culprit. It is not some exotic chemical or dangerous supplement. It is a common substance added to hundreds of foods to improve taste, texture, or shelf life, and research shows it triggers inflammation in the brain, disrupts neuron communication, and accelerates cognitive decline at a pace few other dietary factors can match. And the frightening truth is that you might have consumed it yesterday in snacks, cereals, low-fat products, sauces, or even meals you thought were healthy. And once you realize how pervasive it is, you start seeing it everywhere. But the good news is that knowing about it gives you control, because you can take simple steps to eliminate it, protect your brain, and potentially reverse some of the early damage. And that's exactly what we're going to explore step by step. Now that we've set the stage, it's time to talk about the ingredient itself, the one that's quietly sabotaging your brain every day. And once you know it, you'll start noticing it everywhere in your diet. This isn't some exotic chemical you won't find in your local grocery store. It's something incredibly common, added to countless processed foods to enhance flavor, extend shelf life, or improve texture. And it's precisely this widespread use that makes it so dangerous, because you could be consuming it multiple times a day without realizing it. The ingredient I'm talking about is refined sugar, particularly in the forms of high fructose corn syrup, white sugar, and other hidden sugars that manufacturers sneak into everything from breakfast cereals to sauces, snacks, flavored yogurts, and even breads that claim to be whole grain or low fat. And while sugar itself tastes good and gives you quick energy, it has a dark side when it comes to the brain. Research from top neurologists and neuroscientists has shown that excess sugar intake causes inflammation in the brain, impairs the communication between neurons, and even reduces the production of essential proteins needed for memory formation. And over time, these changes can accelerate the development of dementia and Alzheimer's disease, creating a perfect storm where cognitive decline moves faster than most people realize. What's even more alarming is that sugar doesn't just affect memory, it interferes with mood, focus, and overall brain function. And the more sugar you consume, the more your brain becomes addicted to it, craving quick bursts of energy, which keeps you in a vicious cycle of constant consumption, inflammation, and neurodegeneration. Studies have compared the brain of a high sugar consumer to the brain of someone showing early signs of Alzheimer's, and the similarities are shocking, with reduced neuron activity, impaired synapse formation, and even damage to the hippocampus, which is the brain's memory center. And yet, because sugar is everywhere, many people don't see it as harmful, especially in products marketed as healthy or low fat, because when fat is reduced in foods, sugar is often added to make up for the lost flavor. And this is a sneaky trap that keeps your brain under constant attack without your awareness. Think about that morning cereal you pour into your bowl, or the granola bar you grab for a quick snack, or the flavored yogurt you eat thinking it's a smart choice. Most of these contain hidden sugars that spike your blood sugar, trigger inflammation in your brain, and slowly start eroding memory and cognitive function. And this is not an instant effect. It's gradual, cumulative, and deceptive. So you don't notice it until your memory lapses, your focus slips, or you start forgetting simple things that used to be second nature. The good news is that once you know sugar is the enemy, you can make conscious choices to reduce or eliminate it, replacing it with healthier alternatives that nourish the brain rather than destroy it. And you don't have to make huge changes to start seeing results. Small, consistent swaps can begin to reverse some of the early damage, improve mental clarity, and protect your brain for the years ahead. And understanding how sugar affects the brain gives you the power to stop this silent attack before it progresses too far. Now let's dive deeper into what actually happens inside your brain when you consume too much sugar. Because understanding the science makes it impossible to ignore how dangerous this really is, and it helps you see why dementia and cognitive decline can accelerate without warning. When you eat sugar, your blood sugar spikes, and your body responds by releasing insulin to bring it back down. But when this happens repeatedly over months and years, your brain starts experiencing something called chronic inflammation, which is essentially a slow, persistent attack on the neurons that store your memories, control your thoughts, and manage your emotions. This inflammation disrupts communication between neurons, which are the brain cells responsible for transmitting information. And when these signals are blocked or slowed, you start noticing subtle changes, things like forgetting names, misplacing items, struggling to focus on tasks, or feeling mentally foggy more often than before. Scientists have found that high sugar intake can actually shrink the hippocampus, the part of the brain that forms new memories. And a smaller hippocampus is directly linked to a higher risk of dementia and Alzheimer's, which is why neurologists warn that sugar is not just empty calories, it's actively harmful to your cognitive health. But it doesn't stop there. Sugar also increases oxidative stress in the brain, which means it produces free radicals that damage cells and accelerate aging. And when this damage accumulates over time, the neurons become weaker and less able to recover, making your brain more vulnerable to long-term cognitive decline. Another way sugar wreaks havoc is by promoting the formation of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, which are toxic compounds that interfere with the structure and function of brain proteins effectively, gemming up your neural pathways, slowing down thinking, and making learning new things more difficult. And the scary part is these effects are cumulative. So years of consuming sugar can quietly erode your brain's resilience without you realizing it. Many people mistake this mental fog for stress, fatigue, or just aging, but in reality, it's your brain signaling that it's under attack, and the more sugar you consume, the faster these symptoms progress, turning what starts as minor forgetfulness into noticeable cognitive decline. And this is why diet is so critical when it comes to brain health, because what you eat doesn't just affect your body, it directly affects your mind. Even occasional indulgence in sugary foods can trigger these responses. But the real danger lies in consistent daily consumption, hidden sugars in breakfast cereals, flavoured drinks, granola bars, pastries, and even some packaged healthy foods, which means most people are unknowingly feeding their brains something that accelerates memory loss. The key is awareness, because once you recognise how sugar affects your brain, you can take steps to reduce it, replace it with brain-friendly alternatives, and give your neurons the chance to recover, which improves focus, memory, mood, and long-term cognitive resilience. And making these changes doesn't require a complete diet overhaul, just informed choices and consistency, which is why understanding the science behind sugar and brain health is the first step in taking control of your cognitive future. Now that we understand how sugar damages the brain, let's talk about where it's hiding, because this is where most people get caught off guard, and once you see how pervasive it is, it becomes almost impossible to ignore. You might think you're eating healthily, buying whole grain bread, low-fat yogurt, or natural snacks, but sugar is often disguised under dozens of different names, and it's in foods you would never suspect. For example, breakfast cereals are one of the biggest culprits, even those marketed as healthy. Or fibre-rich can contain up to half of your daily sugar intake in just one bowl. And the flavoured yogurts that seem like a smart choice are often loaded with added sugar to make up for the reduced fat content, creating a double problem for your brain, because you're not only getting sugar, but also artificially enhanced flavours that your brain craves, reinforcing the addiction cycle. Granola bars, protein bars, and even energy snacks marketed to athletes and busy professionals often sneak in sugar, syrups, and sweeteners that spike blood sugar while giving the illusion of being healthy. Sauces and condiments are another hidden trap. Ketchup, barbecue sauce, teriyaki sauce, salad dressings, and even certain pasta sauces contain added sugar to enhance taste, and a few tablespoons at lunch or dinner can contribute significantly to the cumulative damage over time. Even bread, crackers, and other baked goods labelled as whole grain or light can contain hidden sugars to improve texture and shelf life, meaning that many people consume sugar with every meal without realising it. And when this happens day after day, week after week, the brain never gets a chance to recover. Drinks are an even bigger problem. Fruit juices, flavoured water, soft drinks, sweetened coffee beverages, and energy drinks are sugar bombs in liquid form. And because liquid calories are processed so quickly by the body, they can spike blood sugar almost instantly, inflame neurons, and accelerate cognitive decline. And many people think that switching to low-fat or diet versions solves the problem. But artificial sweeteners and hidden sugar often make matters worse by confusing the brain and reinforcing cravings. Even foods marketed for children, like snacks, cookies, and drinks, contain high sugar levels that impact developing brains, setting up a pattern that continues into adulthood. And unfortunately, adults are not immune. The same sugary snacks, pastries, and processed foods that we grew up with continue to affect the brain the same way, eroding memory, focus, and mental clarity over time. The key takeaway is that sugar is not just in obvious sweets like candy and cakes. It's in everyday foods you eat multiple times per day, often without noticing. And the cumulative effect of these hidden sugars is what creates the silent, gradual destruction of brain health that can lead to dementia, Alzheimer's, and accelerated cognitive decline. And recognizing these sources is the first step toward protecting your brain, Once you start reading labels, identifying sugar under its many names, high fructose corn syrup, sucrose, maltose, dextrose, cane sugar, and more, you begin to see patterns in your diet and small changes like swapping sugary cereals for oats, flavoured yogurts for plain Greek yogurt, and sugary drinks for water or unsweetened teas can make a profound difference over time. Awareness is your first weapon, because you cannot fix what you do not see. And once you start noticing sugar everywhere, you start making choices that protect your neurons, improve memory, and reduce the risk of cognitive decline without giving up on taste or enjoyment. Now that you can identify where sugar hides in your daily diet, the next step is learning how to protect your brain and reduce the damage, because knowledge alone isn't enough. You need action, and the good news is that making smarter choices doesn't mean giving up all your favourite foods or feeling deprived. Start by being intentional about reading labels and spotting sugar under its many names, because once you know what to look for, it becomes much easier to avoid hidden sources, and replacing sugary snacks with brain-friendly alternatives is key. For example, fresh fruit can satisfy your sweet cravings while providing antioxidants, vitamins, and fibre that actually nourish your brain rather than inflame it. Swap out sugary breakfast cereals for oatmeal topped with berries or nuts. Choose plain Greek yogurt instead of flavoured varieties, and gradually reduce your reliance on sugary sources by making simple homemade versions using natural ingredients like herbs, spices, and a touch of fruit for sweetness. Drinks are another area where small changes make a huge difference, because swapping soft drinks, flavoured coffees, and energy drinks for water, unsweetened teas, or sparkling water infused with fruit keeps your brain hydrated without the sugar spike, and over time, your taste buds adapt, cravings diminish, and your brain begins to recover from years of inflammation and oxidative stress. Meal planning is a powerful tool too, because when you prepare foods ahead of time, you control exactly what goes into your body, reducing the temptation to grab processed or sugary options on the go, and pairing meals with brain-boosting ingredients like leafy greens, nuts, fatty fish, and whole grains not only reduces sugar intake, but also strengthens your neurons, improves memory, and supports long-term cognitive function. Exercise complements diet changes because physical activity improves blood flow to the brain, reduces inflammation, and supports the formation of new neurons. And even moderate daily movement like brisk walking yoga or light strength training can amplify the benefits of a low sugar diet. Sleep is another critical factor. Insufficient sleep increases sugar cravings and reduces your brain's ability to repair itself. So prioritizing 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night enhances your cognitive resilience and helps your body detoxify the effects of past sugar consumption. Stress management is equally important because chronic stress raises cortisol levels, which can worsen the impact of sugar on the brain, and incorporating relaxation techniques such as meditation, deep breathing, or mindfulness keeps both your body and mind in balance. Gradual changes are more sustainable than extreme overhauls, so focus on replacing one sugary item at a time, building consistency and celebrating small wins. Because each choice reinforces healthier habits that protect neurons, improve mental clarity, and reduce the risk of dementia and cognitive decline over time. The beauty of this approach is that it empowers you, giving you control over your brain health without creating fear or panic. And when combined with awareness of hidden sugars, smarter food choices, exercise, sleep and stress management, you create a comprehensive brain protection plan that supports memory, focus, mood, and long-term cognitive vitality. And the sooner you start, the more your brain benefits, because every positive choice helps repair past damage and strengthens neural connections for the future.